right, and we're back with another Mary Truth Talks. I am your host, Marianne, and this is the MTT Show. Before we begin, subscribe. Smash that subscribe button. It takes seconds and help grow the show. If you like what I have to say, if you don't like what I have to say, but you like to watch, subscribe and support the show. Now, if you want to hear what I got to say on a daily basis, go and follow me on Instagram, Mary_Truths. On X, same thing. I don't post there often, but follow me on X and on TikTok, same thing. Mary_Truths. All right. And finally, if you believe in the MBE mentality, subscribe to our Patreon. We are growing a wellness community of like-minded people, just like us, who actually care about wellness. It's not just about looking healthy, it's about actually being healthy, and that starts with the mind first. So let's get on with the show, shall we? Congress voted to release the Epstein files. Ex-military tells the military they must disobey the president's illegal orders. Mamdani goes to the White House. 10 out of 16 judges rule that it is unconstitutional for public schools to force children to use pronouns. And finally, Islam is converting faster than Christianity. The video I found on that is bombshell. All right. Like, I was like, oh, this is a great video to end the show. So stay tuned till the end. Gotta watch that show. All right. So let's see here. Congress voted to release Epstein files. This is a CNN anchor talking to Thomas Massey, who is America first in his own way. Very independent, America first.
Into this for a second.
Right, not just to do a discharge petition, get it passed through the House, but to get the Senate to pass it and get the White House to sign it. We're not there yet, but when we get there, this is not a subpoena. This is a law.
And so you are confident that these documents will ultimately come out, even if the president tries to fight this?
Yes, I'm confident. And that we sort of, we know when they're out because we know what some of these lists, who some of the men are. I don't have the names in my head right now. The ultimate thing that we could do is read the names on the floor of the House, and that could happen, but what needs to happen is the FBI needs to release these names.
Is that something you might do if he resists this, if the DOJ releases this? Could you go to the floor and read these names?
We absolutely would do that. Marjorie would do that. I would do that. Their
Marjorie's
Democrats would
out.
do that. And but that's not the right path forward. That's the last effort if we hit all of the walls. But so far, we're making it through the walls and over the walls, and we're getting this done.
How much time are you willing to give the president and the administration to release these documents when this becomes law?
I've never set a timeline. The victims have waited a very long time to get justice, and it's really up to them.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Hey, I know that we're on with you, Casey.
Do you understand how that doesn't make sense? I never set a timeline. The victims are the ones who are really in control here. What I don't understand is these victims could have done this 4 years ago. They could have told us the names a while ago. You know, they want to make the argument that, oh, it's because just like Maxwell's hearing was on appeal, it's on appeal right now. There really isn't a difference from then to now. The difference is the administration is different, but that's it. So perhaps the victims are wanting to use this administration and this Congress to have transparency because this administration would actually do that versus the past administration. I don't know. Has anybody thought of that? Why the victims didn't actually want to do this a couple years ago when there was another administration? Perhaps because they weren't very transparent with the American people. So they were like, you know what? Let's just not even waste our time and let's just wait until the other guy comes in because we'll probably be able to get what we want out of the other guy. I think this is all a theater. I'm not saying that what happened to them is fake what happened to them, you know, like, we don't wish that on anybody. Nobody deserves to be raped, trafficked, sexually molested, none of that. So that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the fact that this is happening now when it could have happened then is what makes it theater. It's what makes it political. So to me, if you wanted transparency, then you should have been pushing for this a while ago, regardless of the administration not actually wanting to be transparent. And also, this is already backfiring on Democrats, which I'll get into in a couple of seconds. This is already backfiring on Democrats. And the only reason why the media is stuck on the Epstein files is because Trump's name is in it. If Trump's name wasn't in it, we wouldn't be hung up on this. That's just like, that is the reality. If Trump's name was not on this, the media wouldn't be obsessed with this story. I genuinely don't believe the media gives a damn about what happened to these victims. I think they're just trying to continue having this conversation to see if they can find something that Trump might have done or to insinuate he did to smear the president. And that's what the Democrats also want to do. The last time we went live, it was really obvious in those emails that Epstein had Trump derangement syndrome. Epstein was not a friend of Donald Trump. He did not like Donald Trump. And he was trying to use other people to blackmail and manipulate Donald Trump. So, and it's in the emails. He was colluding with people in Democrat circles under Obama's administration. And yet people think that perhaps Donald Trump is guilty. I think the real people that are guilty are those who are insinuating that Donald Trump is guilty. Because, like I said, it's blowing back on Democrats. I don't think the Epstein files will actually be fully released. I don't think you're actually going to get the truth that you want to get, because the intel community is probably not going to allow that. Johnson said something the other day about national security. It might be a national security risk, whatever the hell that means. I don't know what that means. But maybe in the files, there's some type of process that intel, communities is classified and we're not supposed to know about it. So by us releasing it, we're like showing people classified information. I don't know. But all I'm saying is I'm not going to be this naive citizen who thinks, oh my God, because they passed this, and he's going to sign it into law, it's going to actually happen. I honestly don't believe that. Pam Bondi said, oh, we're going to follow the law. We're going to follow the law. Yeah, you're going to follow a law with massive redactions. You're going to give people a lot of nothing. And you're going to say, we released the files, we followed the law, but there's a lot of things that are classified that we have to redact. So the amount of information you're going to get is 0 to none. But they're going to tell you that they followed the law because they did. They gave you the files. They just didn't give you the information you wanted because it is classified information under the intel community. I have something in my eye and it's bothering me. Oh, God. So, again, that's what I think. I could be wrong. I'm very, very skeptical. I'm maybe a bit cynical, but I personally don't think you're going to get what you want. Those of you who are obsessed with this story, I understand why you're obsessed with it. Because it is disgusting what happens to these girls. I totally get it. But it's very naive to actually believe you're going to get the information you're asking for. That's all I'm saying. So let's look into how Democrats got caught. So Congresswoman got caught texting Epstein. Let's take a look at that. That is crazy. Plaskett.
On the House.
Yeah, there it is.
House floor on November 18th, Congressman Andy Biggs condemned the actions of Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett for texting and allegedly taking advice from Jeffrey Epstein during a congressional hearing. Watch Biggs's remarks and then Plaskett's defense right here.
When you're sitting there in a sitting committee and you're having communications with a convicted sex offender, and you're taking their advice on how to ask questions, maybe you got a problem. Maybe your problem is that you've brought disrepute on the House. And this isn't from the articles. This is from the 10,000 pages or so released last week from the Oversight Committee that they received from the Epstein estate. This isn't fishing around. This is coming from real evidence. So I sit here and I listen, oh, you know, she's the finest member that ever walked the planet, man. That's what you heard. But the bottom line is this. She's sitting there seeking advice and counsel on how to ask questions from Jeffrey Epstein.
I first want to give you all a sense of what was happening that day. Everyone knows at that hearing in February, the entire country was watching. As Michael Cohen decided he was going to finally give up information about what was happening in the Trump world, the Trump enterprise. And at the beginning of that hearing, the ranking member, Jim Jordan, had the disrespect to Elijah Cummings, may he rest in peace and his name be a memory, after not allowing Mr. Jordan to shut the committee hearing down. And I turned to Mr. Jordan and told him to have respect for the chair and to basically shut up. And that moment went viral. And I began to get innumerable texts from friends, from foes, from constituents about what was happening in that hearing. And I got a text from Jeffrey Epstein, who at the time was my constituent, who was not public knowledge at that time that he was under federal investigation, and who was sharing information with me. Now, I heard recently from someone that I was seeking advice from him. Let me tell you something. I don't need to get advice on how to question anybody.
For more congressional news, stay tuned to Congress.
I don't need to take advice from a pedophile, but yes, she did. Because she's the one who asked him in the text messages for help before it was her opportunity. She's the one who initiated that conversation, not the other way around. She's the one who was seeking assistance from a convicted pedophile, not the other way around. You see, you could actually say that Jeffrey Epstein is a convicted felon because he actually did time, you know, unlike Trump. So if you don't do time, how are you a felon? You know, common sense isn't common nowadays, unfortunately. So this woman, the GOP is trying to make a deal with her. There's some people in the GOP that are trying to make a deal with her when she needs to be removed from her office. She needs to be removed from her position because she just lied there and said that his conviction wasn't public. That's bullshit. His conviction was public in 2018 when the Miami Herald broke the story. This happened, like 2021? 2022, like when Biden was already in office? What are you talking about, ma'am? You knew you were talking to a convicted pedophile. Everybody knew already who Jeffrey Epstein was at that time. And her constituent? Please, can you go to the next one? This is Republican calling out Hakeem Jeffrey, who's a Democrat, also was caught with Jeffrey Epstein.
On the House Oversight Committee, we want to know what really happened, what went on, who was involved in these unspeakable crimes. We want justice for the survivors. That's why we're doing this investigation. So House Oversight obtained over 30,000 pages of documents from the estate. Unlike the Democrats, who only released 10 of those over 30,000 pages of documents, Republicans on the House Oversight Committee released every single document on the website for the American people to see. Democrats and many in the media were anxiously clutching their pearls in anticipation of potential dirt on President Trump. In the end, after full transparency by the Republicans on the Oversight Committee, there was nothing new about the president's former relationship with Epstein, and certainly nothing scandalous. But we did find two sitting Democrat members of Congress had communication with Epstein. First, it's been highly reported and debated about Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett texting during an Oversight Committee hearing with Jeffrey Epstein while trying to conspire with him to hurt or embarrass Donald Trump. But according to Jamie Raskin, that was okay because Mr. Epstein was her constituent.
Yep.
Now, how embarrassing a rationale is that? But the second communication was this email right here, where Hakeem Jeffries' campaign reached out directly to Jeffrey Epstein, soliciting campaign dollars for the, quote, Brooklyn Barack. Now, whereas Jamie Raskin explained Plaskett's communication with Epstein as simply responding to a constituent, Hakeem Jeffries had a very different response when asked about it by the media. He denied its existence. Hakeem Jeffries said, Comer is a stone-cold liar. And then he reverted to calling me names for the second week in a row. So let's read it to make sure. To Jeffrey Epstein, and that's the real Jeffrey Epstein, not Jasmine Crockett's Jeffrey Epstein. This is the real Jeffrey Epstein. From Hakeem Jeffries' campaign. Dear Jeffrey, we are thrilled that we are working with Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, one of the rising stars of the New York delegation, sometimes referred to as Brooklyn's Barack. Hakeem is committed to electing a Democrat majority in 2014 and is encouraging his friends to participate in a DCCC fundraising dinner with President Obama and Hakeem Jeffries. It ends with a number for Jeffrey Epstein to call to go to the dinner and, quote, get an opportunity to get to know Hakeem better. Here's the evidence. The email speaks for itself. The only stone-cold liar in this debate is Hakeem Jeffries. So, Mr. Minority Leader, take a deep breath, chill out, stop lying, stop with the juvenile name-calling, and own up to the fact that your campaign solicited campaign cash from Jeffrey Epstein.
The Jeffrey Epstein.
With that, Mr. Speaker, I yield back.
Oh, that's it.
The chair recognizes the gentleman.
Oh, what a solid that was solid. Yeah, so, and of course he is denying ever knowing that his campaign ever did that. Oh, I had no idea that my campaign asked the Jeffrey Epstein for donations. Okay, sure. And then Jasmine Crockett, Ratchet Crockett, misleads the Americans on a bunch of people who got donations from a Jeffrey Epstein. She said a Jeffrey Epstein, but we all know she meant the Jeffrey Epstein. Let's take a look at that.
Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, Joe, also recently claimed that a whole slew of Republicans took money from Jeffrey Epstein, but she may have gotten a little bit over her skis. Listen to this.
Folks who also took money from somebody named Jeffrey Epstein, as I had my team dig in very quickly: Mitt Romney, the NRCC, Lee Zeldin, George Bush.
Do you want to correct the record on the people that...
Listen, I never said that it was that Jeffrey Epstein. I wanted the Republicans to think about what could potentially happen because I knew that they didn't even try to go through the FEC. So my team, what they did is they Googled, and that is specifically why I said a Jeffrey Epstein. Unlike Republicans, I at least don't go out and just tell lies.
So Zeldin responded saying, when you find yourself in a hole, it's best to stop digging. The public FEC report Crockett referenced on the House floor very clearly states that the Jeffrey Epstein who donated to my past campaign was a physician, and the donation date was well after the other Jeffrey Epstein was already dead. But Joe, she told her team to Google and says that she never lied.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you know, it's really bad when you're caught in a lie, and then instead of you just owning up to it, you buckle down and triple down on the lie that you were already caught making. So she said that she wasn't lying to the American people because she said a Jeffrey Epstein, not the Jeffrey Epstein. But considering you weren't sure if it was the Jeffrey Epstein, you were insinuating, why even bring it up if you don't even know for sure? You brought it up because you didn't think that people would do their own due diligence and call out the bullshit that you are spewing on the House floor. We're literally paying this woman our tax dollars to lie to us, straight up, just BS. Oh, but my staff members Googled it, and clearly they can't even do that to figure out that the Jeffrey Epstein you were talking about wasn't the Jeffrey Epstein. And a bunch of other people that she said were also incorrect. So it's just like, bro, when are these, like, to me, it's like, listen, if you're going to vote Democrat, like, you enjoy being lied to. Do you like that? Do you enjoy being gaslighted? You enjoy being lied to? You know, do you enjoy them thinking that you're too stupid to know that they're lying to you? Like, your intelligence should be offended right now. You should be pissed off that these people think you're that dumb to not see that they're literally straight up lying to you. Like, for you to literally be caught by CNN out of all networks to literally be like, yeah, but you insinuated it was the Jeffrey Epstein, but you said a Jeffrey Epstein, but you knew what you were doing. And instead of her just saying, oh, you know what, like, yeah, you're right, we messed up, but we didn't look into it deep enough, you know, like, we can't be making those mistakes and, you know, misleading the American people. No. Double down. Oh, no, I didn't lie because, you know, I didn't say it was the Jeffrey Epstein. Doesn't matter. You insinuated it. Your intentions were to lie to the American people. Like, people need to be held accountable. And the only way to hold these people accountable is to catch them in their lies, call them out to their face, and then people who voted for her to stop voting for her because she's not doing anything for you. She doesn't represent you or me or anybody. She represents herself and her party. It's like Fetterman said, the Democrats, all they care about is their party, not their country. And that's the problem we're having right now. If we were to go back to a political atmosphere where they actually cared about their country, then, you know, we would have a different conversation. But we can't even have that type of conversation because we have to literally catch them lying in order for people to be like, oh shit, these people are literally lying to us. And not enough people are seeing the lies yet. But I think we're getting there. All right, so ex-military tells the military they have to disobey president's illegal orders. Illegal. All right, let's take a look.
Representative Chris DeLuzio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow. I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy.
Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer.
Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
and the intelligence community
who take risks each day
to keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
and intelligence community professionals
against American citizens. Like us, you all swore an oath
to protect and defend this Constitution.
And right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad,
but from right here at home. Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law
or our Constitution.
We know this is hard and that it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
But whether you're serving in the CIA,
the Army,
or Navy,
the Air Force,
your vigilance is critical.
And know that we have your back.
Because now, more than ever,
the American people need you.
We need you to stand up for our laws,
our Constitution,
and who we are as Americans. Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up the ship.
Mark Kelly.
This is horrible.
Yeah.
So, this is Class A manipulation.
Yeah.
They're even putting the big bold words there so to make sure the programming gets in there.
So Donald Trump got pissed.
Despicable.
And he pretty much made threats that is sedition and they deserve, and that it's punishable by death. And there is a case to make that it can be punishable by death depending on how the prosecutor proceeds with the case, if they, want to go through that route. However, a lot of people are not, they're ignoring that just happened, what you just saw there, and they're saying, oh, I can't believe the president threatened to kill them. And it's like, you're missing the point. And that's where we're at right now, where the main objective is A, and you're ignoring the objective and you're focusing on some BS reason to distract from the objective. The objective is very simple. These people that are federal officials, ex-military, that served our country, whether it was intelligence or just regular military, are telling current active duty soldiers to disobey the commander-in-chief. On what grounds? And when they were confronted on what illegal orders, they can't name any. So then why bring it up if you don't have an illegal order to expose? Like, okay, you should disobey the president because he did this illegal order, which is X, Y, and Z. But that didn't happen. You're just putting this picture, that this narrative, that's all they know how to do is push a narrative. This narrative, that's propaganda, by the way, in case anybody doesn't know what that looks like, that's propaganda in a nutshell. You're literally telling the American people that the soldiers who serve us and are commanded by the president can disobey the president because they deem the president is committing illegal orders. No actual evidence of that, no scenario, no case. They think that because they don't like the president, what he's doing is illegal, it is unlawful, it is wrong. Therefore, if you are serving in our military, you have the right to go against him. That is, by the way, an insurrection. You are telling armed forces to go against the president. That it's an insurrection. So when regular people didn't on Capitol Hill, when they didn't have any guns, that was considered an insurrection. But when ex-military officials tell military active duty soldiers to commit an insurrection, oh no, that's perfectly okay, because they're just, all they're doing is warning military people that they are supposed to follow the law, not the commander-in-chief. That's wrong. The law is to follow the commander-in-chief. That is their job. If you don't like it, that's a personal problem. If they don't like it, they can honorably discharge themselves from service if they don't agree with the commander-in-chief. But they're not allowed to disobey the commander-in-chief. That is law. And what they did, prosecutors can definitely say, yeah, that definitely can be sedition, for sure. Which is what they actually charged a Proud Boy in January 6th, was for sedition. So I think this is a great example of, again, the left, because those are all Democrats. This is the left going against federal laws and pretty much telling the foundation of the federalization, which is the military, you don't have to follow your oath. You can break it in the name of democracy. That's freaking crazy. That to me is treason in my book. He's being nice and saying sedition. I'm calling it what it is, and that's treason. You're literally telling active duty soldiers to go against their own oath, which is to protect the people and the Constitution and to follow the commander-in-chief. That's in the Constitution. So you're pretty much saying break the Constitution. Don't follow the Constitution, which makes perfect sense because Democrats claim they believe in the Constitution, but they don't. They believe in what in selective things in the Constitution. They want to modify other things in the Constitution, but they don't actually believe in it for what it is currently. Verbatim, they don't. That's why they want to jack up the Supreme Court. They want, they want a bunch of illegals to come here. That way those people can eventually become voters. And then, we don't really have a bipartisan system. It's going to be Democratic all the time, which is what California has. And these are the same people that claim they believe in democracy. No, they don't. They believe in authoritarianism. So it's extremely fascist, honestly. It's extremely fascist. The very people, like Winston Churchill said, those who claim to be anti-fascist are the true fascists. So let's go on to the next one here. This is Mamdani goes to the White House. Oh my God, I have so many thoughts about this. All right, let's take a look.
Time to make my witness. Chris Cuomo here, and we start with the big moment of the day.
I think you're going to have hopefully a really great mayor, and the better he does, the happier I am. I feel very confident that he can do a very good job. I think he is going to surprise some conservative people, actually.
It was a productive meeting focused on a place of shared admiration and love, which is New York City, and the need to deliver affordability to New Yorkers. The meeting that we had focused not on places of disagreement, which there are many, and also focused on the shared purpose that we have in serving New Yorkers.
Would you feel comfortable living in New York City under a Mamdani administration?
Yeah, I would. I really would. Especially after the meeting. Absolutely.
What makes you comfortable?
We agree on a lot more than I would have thought.
All right. So there was more to that.
News Nation. This
That's
is
it.
where
There was more to that, but that's what Cuomo decided to take out of that meeting. I saw the whole thing, and the left is very predictable, which I already saw it coming. They were like, "Oh, you see, Mamdani stood his ground, and Donald Trump bended the knee for Mamdani." Like, you're dumb to even come to that conclusion, because who needs who more? Who's the president of the United States? Why would you think, liberals, I'm talking to you directly, that Trump needs Mamdani? Please, I need you to use your brain a little bit. I know it could be difficult for you because you're very charged with your emotions, but I need you to release the emotion and just think a little bit, because Mamdani is the elected mayor, meaning he needs the federal government's help to do whatever he wants to do in New York City. So the one who needs the other is the socialist here, not the capitalist. The capitalist does not need the socialist. So, the fact that people were like, "Oh, he stood his ground," no, he didn't. He played the politician role, and he said, "I'm gonna play it smart. I'm not gonna go in guns blazing, because at the end of the day, I need him. I need his money. I need the taxpayer money to do what I gotta do in New York City." And at the end of the day, what is the point of Donald Trump, being this alpha guy, when at the end of the day he just wants New York to thrive, because he was born and raised in New York City. He made his millions and billions in New York City. So even though he may not agree with the fact that there's a socialist in office, or a democratic socialist, whatever he wants to call himself, it doesn't change the fact that he would rather him succeed and improve New York City than burn it to the ground. And if he can help him do that, then it's a win-win situation, because New York City gets better, and that's what Trump wants at the end of the day. It's an end goal for him, because it's a personal to him. And it's a win-win because Mamdani ends up looking good as the most youngest mayor, immigrant on top of that, and he succeeds in being a great mayor for New York City. So to me, I don't understand how you could have seen it any other way than that. That's the most pragmatic way you can possibly see this. And unfortunately, when you are charged with emotion and very little logic and reasoning, you can't just see things in a very nuanced, pragmatic way. But I just gave you a very simple perspective here. It's not about, who was more alpha or whatever. It's about the fact that they both need each other, in the sense of Donald Trump wants New York to do better because he knows New York could be way better than it is right now because he lived through it. And at the same time, Mamdani knows that he needs Trump to actually become a good mayor. So I thought this was good. Of course, you know, the left is like mad now, and some of them even think that Mamdani sold out, of course, because, you know, you can never satisfy these people, honestly. But I wasn't surprised seeing this. And I'm actually glad that it happened that way. I'm glad it didn't happen like the whole Zelensky fiasco. I'm glad it was diplomatic. It was cordial. We don't really know what happened behind closed doors, but we do know in front of the cameras, they were able to show everybody that even though we're completely opposite on many issues, we can come together on the end game, which is to make New York great again. And that is really the objective of that meeting. So anybody who didn't see that, you're welcome for helping you see it. So let's take a look at this other one here. 10 out of 16 judges ruled that it is unconstitutional for public schools to force children to use pronouns. Amazing. A win for us. Let's go.
Big victory for free speech and First Amendment protections after a court decided one school district's pronoun policy violated students' constitutional rights. The federal appeals court ruled a school district in Ohio could not punish students who do not call a transgender student by their preferred pronoun. It is a legal decision that's going to have precedents across the country, and it's all thanks to a lawsuit filed by Defending Education. The senior director for communications there, Erica Sanzi, joining us now with more on this massive win for the organization. Good morning to you. Good to see you. Happy Friday.
Good morning, Jan. Thanks for having me.
Of course, you know, this case, as we know, has been going on for 2 years. Your organization states that it is the most expansive defense of student First Amendment protections since the 1960s. So walk us back a bit. Tell us about the lawsuit and how this all began.
So in 2023, our organization sued the Olentangy local school district in Ohio over their harassment policies and codes of conduct that clearly violated students' First Amendment rights by compelling students to use preferred pronouns to affirm the gender identity of their classmates and peers, even if doing so was contrary to their, deeply held beliefs. And if students had failed to comply with using those preferred pronouns, they faced punishment that ranged from, no contact orders to suspension and even expulsion.
Crazy.
So this was clearly a problem on First Amendment grounds. But what's interesting is that this was a long process for us because we lost in the lower court. And so we appealed to the Sixth Circuit. And then when you appeal, your case gets heard by 3 judges in that circuit. So we lost again. So then we did something that I would never have known about this until I was part of an organization that did this. We petitioned for something that's called an en banc hearing, which basically means that the whole bench of all the judges in the Sixth Circuit would hear your case. So our attorneys felt that we were on such solid ground that if we could get all 17 judges to hear the case, we would win. And we were granted that petition to have the whole bench hear the case. And so we ultimately were victorious with 10 of the judges siding with us and 7 against. So this was a slow and steady wins the race sort of process. But yeah, in the end, it came out on our side. And this is a very big win for the First Amendment in schools, because again, it's not that you can't use preferred pronouns or out of whether it's courtesy or just kindness or you don't care about it or it does align with your beliefs, but you cannot force students to use them if they don't want to.
Yeah, I was reading the decision here, and put differently, I think as your organization mentioned, pronouns have the power to validate or invalidate someone's perceived sex or gender identity, and schools cannot effectively compel their preferred viewpoint. I want to read what Defending Education President and founder Nicole Neely said. She said, "We are deeply gratified by the Sixth Circuit's intensive analysis, not only of our case, but the state of student First Amendment rights in modern era. The court's decision and its many concurrences articulate the importance of free speech, the limits and perils of public schools claiming to act in loco parentis and the critical role of persuasion rather than coercion in America's public square. And loco parentis, by the way, is in place of parents, is what that means,
Yes.
which is really the crux of so many of these cases where common sense is now prevailing and parents are telling these, quote, educators to start teaching and stop trying to replace what they are doing at home. What kind of reaction have you received from this? What's the school district saying as a result?
I haven't actually seen any reaction or comments from them yet. Also, just for the audience, the Sixth Circuit is Kentucky, Michigan, Ohio, and Tennessee. So those are the states where school districts would have to get in line sort of immediately. But now we have this really strong precedent so that it can be used in cases across the country, because this is not an unusual policy in school districts. But yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of celebratory commentary among lawyers.
That is incredible. Absolutely incredible. And the fact that seven judges believe that your First Amendment is actually not a right, and that trans kids or trans people's rights are a bigger priority than, the regular average Joe who doesn't want to call you by your pronoun, or, if you are a man, I'm not going to call you a she, I'm not going to call you a her, and I'm definitely not going to call you a woman or a man. I'm going to call you a sir, a him, a he, or whatever your actual biological name is. I'm not going to call you whatever you think you are. And I have a right to do that, It doesn't mean that I hate you, or that it just means that I'm not going to affirm what I believe is to be a delusion or a mental illness, because I believe it is a mental illness. For you to be born a sex and to actually think that your sex and gender are two different things when they're not, they're the same thing. And because you think they're separate, I have to agree with you. I don't have to agree with you. I choose to live in reality. If you want to choose to live in a false reality, you can do that, but you're not going to force me to confirm your false reality. And that's literally what this is all about. So I'm very excited about this, because this is going to end up becoming precedent for the entire country. And it is probably going to go up to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court, because the majority of them are originalist and conservative, they're probably going to vote in favor of parental rights, as they've done already before. So kudos to us. Common sense is winning. Let's do it. All right. So this is an amazing, amazing video that I saw. So everybody who stay locked in, because this is an amazing video that I found about a Christian man talking to, I don't know where, but apparently it's a very heavy Islam community. And I wanted to share this with you guys because he said what many are thinking, and he said it out loud because many people are ashamed to say exactly what this man said. But before we watch that video, I want you guys to see this projection of how fast the Islam religion is growing in real time. See if you can start from the big one on there. So they're projecting, it's growing really fast, but they're projecting that Christianity is still ahead of the game. However, they're being extremely optimistic with that data. I don't believe Christianity is converting as quickly as Islam is. I don't, because of the fact that the Islam religion conquers. That's what it does. It's not the same thing as Christianity, where Christianity is, it tries to open your perspective to a different way of life, a different way of thinking about things, versus Islam. It's not even, I wouldn't even consider it a religion, because like I said, the whole objective is to conquer the land. It's not even to sway somebody to believe in your God. It's way past that. It's political. It's to conquer the land. I mean, why do you think so many people that follow this religion, they don't just pray at their churches, whatever you call them, mosques? they pray in the middle of the street because they're telling you that they have conquered your land. That's what this is all about. It's about conquering. It's not about freedom of religion anymore. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because this is something that we need to talk about. This is a very uncomfortable conversation that needs to be spoken about, because if we ignore it and we pretend like it's not happening, what happened in the UK, what's happening in Western Europe will happen in America. They're already trying to implement Sharia law here in Texas. And Governor Abbott striked it down, but it doesn't mean that they're not going to try again when Governor Abbott is no longer governor. So we can't sit here and pretend that these people, I'm not saying all Muslims, but a good chunk of them are trying to conquer this land, and they're trying to make it the land they fled from. And I'm sorry, but what is the point of you coming to a different country if you're not going to assimilate into the country? And I have that same problem with my own people. Hispanics have that same issue. They're guilty as well. They cannot assimilate to the country. And it's unfortunate because in order for me, as an immigrant who naturalized, I want my people to assimilate. So because I'm an immigrant, I have to tell them, you're not in the right, you're in the wrong. This is not your country. You were invited to this country. If you came legally, you were invited to this country. Therefore, it is your duty to learn the language. It is your duty to assimilate. It is your duty to learn the culture of this country. That is your job as somebody who is not born here. And that's me telling Hispanics that. So Muslims, I believe, should do the same thing with your people. Tell them, I understand you believe in your religion, but in this country, this is predominantly a Christian country, and we have to respect that. Christians are not saying you need to convert to Christians. We're saying you need to respect that this is a predominantly Christian country, and you need to assimilate to our culture, not the religion, but the culture. Yes, you should not be. There's no reason why I should have to go to a business and have to wait for somebody to stop praying to serve me. I shouldn't have to deal with that. Maybe in a different country where it's a theocracy, fine. But this is not a theocratic country. There's no reason why I should go into a business and the person who's supposed to serve me is praying. And it's telling me to wait until they're done praying. I'm sorry. That to me is unacceptable. You can pray when you're off work. Right now, you need to serve customers. And if you don't want to serve customers, then don't work, or don't have a business. And that's happened to me once, and once was too many. So I personally think that Americans that were not born here but are Americans now need to be speaking up with those that are born here and say, America's a Christian culture. We have a diversity, but diversity is not our strength. Very important. We are all Americans. We should all believe in the Constitution as Americans, and we need to focus on getting people to assimilate to this country, because if we don't focus on assimilating, we won't have a country to fight for. Okay? And this is how this man, who I'm going to show you, literally feels. And I'm not in his position because I wasn't born here, but I understand where he's coming from.
You guys are not us, and get the fuck out. America first.
Right,
America.
Yeah, you ended that was the best part.
All right, Mr. Edward Lang. All right. Commander Madu, you guys got to keep it down, okay?
In 1900, the world was 30% white. Fast forward 125 years, we are down to 7%. The Islamification of Europe is particularly aimed at the destruction of white people. The Islamification of America is aiming to meet the same goal. Our people, white Christian, European, Western civilization, we built the arts. We built the Colosseum. We have ran the world into the industrial age. And now, this people here, the Muslim community, is looking to drag us back. They're looking to oppress women, oppress homosexuals. They're looking to destroy everything that makes America great. President Trump, send ICE into Dearborn. These people have overstayed their visas. They're H-1B chain migration invaders, and they have come to this country to destroy our way of life. We know exactly your laws in your book about lying to our faces, pretending to be Americans, wearing your suits. But that doesn't happen anywhere else where you guys are in charge. There are 53 Muslim majority countries, and in all of them, it is tyranny, destruction, it is shithole living. We have to call it what it is. You guys don't live like we do. We don't want you in our country. We will come and eat your shawarma in Somalia, okay? We don't need it here in Michigan. We don't need it in any part of America. We have a right to self-determination. Our founding fathers fought and died for our posterity, for white Americans. And we're being driven out. You come here and you marry 4 or 5 women and you outbreed us. You change the laws. You make all of our country look like the places that you fled from. We don't want you here. Respectfully, get the fuck out of my country. I don't want you here. We don't want you here.
That's fine.
I don't want you here. I don't want you here.
That's fine, sir. Just
This is our country. And
Chief,
the
can you send
people,
the guys out there?
the veterans, the World War II veterans, that's blood has soaked for our constitutional republic, are taking a look around Europe. They're taking a look around America, and they're saying, what the hell did we fight for? We have been taken over without a single shot fired. You guys are outbreeding, insidious parasites on the American way of life. You will never look like us. You will never eat like us. You won't build buildings like us. You are nothing. You can build nothing. Just like President Trump's great American friends have said. You guys are not us, and get the fuck out. America first. America only. God bless America. Jesus is king. Jesus is king.
Thank you.
Jesus is king. Jesus is king.
Thank you.
Jesus is king. Jesus is king.
Time has expired.
Tell me about that, bro. That was crazy. I was like, damn. That's a lot. How many Americans feel like that guy? And they just don't have the balls to say what he said, but they're thinking it. And I agree with him. And I am not white, But I agree with him 100%. It is true. It is 100% true. And again, in my perspective, as somebody who came from a different country, I thought you should assimilate to the country. I don't agree that if you're coming from a different country, you can bring your food, of course, why not? Bring your fashion, bring whatever, teach us your ways or whatever, but let's not get it twisted. This is not your country, okay? You were invited here. This is not your country. So because you were invited here for a better opportunity, it is your job and duty to learn the ways of the actual people who are from this country. Now, when you become an American citizen, you should have already learned English. Many Hispanics don't, so that's already a problem there. To me, that's like the biggest thing is learning the language. You have to learn the language. Recently I got into an argument with a family member of mine because of the fact that he doesn't agree that I should have this perspective that because I am a migrant, even though I'm an American now, that I should see migrants as, people that don't want to assimilate. And I'm like, but they don't. They don't want to assimilate. Cubans that come here don't want to speak English. They make all the excuses to not want to speak English. Then why the fuck did you come here? Why did you come here? You want to make the money, but you don't want to actually respect the culture. And the culture is learning English. That's my problem. And because I'm an immigrant, I can't say that. It's taboo. You're supposed to be fighting for Cubans. No, I'm supposed to be fighting for Americans. Because that's what I am. That's me assimilating. I may have not been born here, but I was raised here. Cuba didn't do shit for me. Cuba didn't do shit for my family. That's why we're here. So why the hell am I going to be proud of Cuba? What the fuck did it do for me? Nothing. America did a lot for me. And it continues to do more for me. So when I see immigrants that are Cuban or Mexican or whatever the hell, and they don't want to learn English, that pisses me off. Because it tells me that you don't really care about this country. You want to use it and abuse it and take advantage of it, but you don't actually want to respect it. And I have a right to tell you, a Hispanic like myself, you are abusing this country. And if you're not willing to assimilate, get the fuck out. And I have a right to say that as an immigrant myself. And I totally agree with that man. Even though he's very pro-white, whatever. I don't give a damn. Because at the end of the day, if I were to have a conversation with that guy, we would both be on the same page, regardless of the fact that I came here even though I'm a migrant. Even though I'm not white, I agree with him. Because the main objective he has is you should assimilate and respect this country and the majority who are in this country. And they don't. And that's the problem. Because if you were to assimilate and respect the country, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. He wouldn't be pissed right now. Neither would I. But unfortunately, we have people who come here, abuse, use, and don't even want to learn the language. So, no, I'm sorry. If you want to come to America, learn English and assimilate to this country. If not, you can leave or we can force you to leave. Take your pick. I'm done. All right, so I had to say that. I was like, because that fight with my family member happened actually today, so I'm still pumped about it. Still very flustered. But guys, that's pretty much it. I started early today because I have something I have to do in a little bit. So I hope you guys enjoyed the ranting at the end there. Let me know what you think about that video. I know that video is extremely controversial, but I agree with the guy, and I am not white or born American, and I understand his sentiment. So let me know what you guys think. I know, controversial, whatever, don't care. I believe that we need to have these tough conversations to actually seek truth. I'm not a truth teller. I'm a truth seeker. And if you subscribe to Mary Truth Talks, so are you. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys next time.